Violence used to be commonplace in Northern Ireland. Over 3,500 people died in the so-called Troubles. A peace agreement 25 years ago put an end to it. But is Brexit reopening old wounds?
We are not Irish. We don't represent as Irish. We are British Ulstermen.
You don't want to see any shootings, you don't want to be seeing bombings. You want to see these kids just having a good life.
It's tit for tat constantly, and we're the ones that are suffering.
Once at the heart of Northern Ireland's violent conflict, Belfast is still divided. Some neighbourhoods are mixed, some are separated by religious affiliations into mainly Protestant and Catholic areas, divided by so-called peace walls. Each side has their own symbols and identities, memories of a violent struggle kept alive to this day. Murals like these are scattered around Belfast and other places in Northern Ireland. For those that live near them, they are a daily reminder of a troubled past. Since the Good Friday Agreement 25 years ago, it's been largely peaceful here. And yet, Brexit has reminded some people that they are divided. So is Brexit threatening peace in Northern Ireland? East Belfast is a predominantly Protestant area. Ledley Hall Boxing Club used to be staunchly Protestant. Today, young boxers from all areas of Belfast can train here, including Catholics. Young people in Northern Ireland still grow up largely segregated. It's rare that Catholic and Protestant pupils are taught in the same schools. Trainer Gary Black has been boxing here for over 25 years and has seen big changes.
As you can see around you, there's plenty of kids here. There's kids from, this is East Belfast, you have kids from West Belfast, you have kids from North Belfast. They'll come over, and in here, them kids wouldn't bother with each other outside, but in here, this is where they've got to meet each other now, they're mates. They would never have met each other just walking about the streets of Belfast.
It's not that these young men and boys have to fear being attacked on a daily basis, but they are all aware of potential threats.
If you're passing certain areas that are Catholic or Protestant, if they know you're Protestant, they might not like it. But most of the time it's not like that. They're sort of calmed down on that, and they're more forgiving.
Just around the corner from the club, Protestant paramilitary organisations are celebrated. It's their loyalty to Britain that defines them. They still have a grip on areas like this, just like Catholic paramilitary groups have in other areas. Throughout Northern Ireland, so-called peace walls separate Protestant and Catholic neighbourhoods. 10 years ago, Northern Ireland's politicians set out a plan: bring down all of these so-called peace walls by 2023. But today it's estimated that over 100 of them are still in place. They clearly show that the peace process is far from finished. West Belfast once was a notorious flashpoint. Bombay Street is in a Catholic neighbourhood, just behind one of these walls. 8 people were killed here in 1969. Today, most nights are quiet, though one resident who wanted to remain anonymous told us that recently a large rock was thrown from the other side. Others say that since Brexit, they have noticed more tension.
It's worse, that's caused even more divide between the two sides of the community.
Because we're in the European Union and there was no identity crisis. Everybody could be whatever they wanted to be. There was no borders, there was no walls, there was no, not as much animosity. People wanted to engage each other. But once Brexit came along, people stuck in that relit old flames and hatreds and things.
Katie Hayward is an expert on Brexit in Northern Ireland. She says that since the vote to leave the EU, the progress that had been made in reconciling the two communities has stalled.
It's very much getting to the heart of questions of sovereignty and identity. And those two issues are very important in Northern Ireland. They're very divisive in Northern Ireland. And so we've got a difficulty then in trying to explain the nuances and details of these new arrangements and the new challenges against a background of very simple and straightforward national identity priorities.
To understand better why some people are upset about the realities of Brexit, it's important to talk to businesses. Loudon Guitars, a business based just outside Belfast, makes handmade acoustic guitars. Most of them are exported to the EU and the rest of the UK. The vote for Brexit was a shock to the company that was founded almost 50 years ago.
One of the first things that I said was maybe we're going to have to move the workshops over into the south of Ireland, into the EU. Maybe we're going to have to do that. So far that hasn't been necessary, and I hope not.
Because Northern Ireland remains in the single market, Loudon can continue exporting to the EU. But some of the most expensive guitars now need an additional license when they are being shipped to mainland Britain. Before Brexit, that was not the case.
In the end, we found out that there had been a small number of restrictions between ourselves and the UK, and directly as a result of Brexit.
When the UK decided to leave the EU, it was feared that having a hard border in Ireland could lead to the return of sectarian violence. That's why Northern Ireland has a special status and stays within the EU single market. A trade border for goods with mainland Britain is the consequence of that.
The Good Friday Belfast Agreement was created very much in the context of the UK and Ireland being members of the European Union. And this helped things in two ways. One thing politically, that good British-Irish relationship as friendly neighbours and partners in the EU underpinned the whole of the peace process. Secondly, in practical terms, of course, being part of the single market in the EU enabled borders and divisions between Ireland and Northern Ireland to be reduced, but also across the United Kingdom.
While businesses in Northern Ireland are benefiting from being inside the EU single market, Great Britain is still Northern Ireland's biggest trading partner. So any friction at the border causes concern, especially when it comes to goods that are seen as important. Sausages and some cheeses, for example, are harder to import from mainland Britain. For Mark Brown, who runs Arcadia Delicatessen in Belfast, it's more difficult now to receive products from small producers in England or Scotland.
Sometimes there's a delay, you don't know if you're going to get it, is it going to get stopped, and the fact is I need that very quickly, and if it does get delayed, sometimes you have to return it and say I'm sorry, but I mean that's 4 days being delivered, it's fresh foods, discarded.
It's these trade barriers that some Protestants in Northern Ireland have a problem with. They feel closely aligned with Britain and celebrate the memory of the late Queen. It is this British identity that they feel is being stripped away. They fear an ever closer alignment and possible reunification with the Irish Republic.
That's what we are, British people. We are not Irish. We don't represent as Irish. We are British Ulstermen. So when that border gets taken away, that's forcing us into being more Irish. So that's where the problem is.
I'd say the majority of the people, including myself, would see ourselves as British. And I think it sort of means we're less British in a way, so it sort of goes against our identity.
The separation between ourselves and the mainland, and that shouldn't happen. I'm a British citizen, I'm not Irish.
On the other side of the peace wall, that is exactly what many people want. They feel Irish and they want to break away from the United Kingdom to be part of the Republic of Ireland. Northern Ireland's latest census shows Catholics outnumber Protestants for the first time. Religious identity tends to be a good indicator of attitude to a united Ireland. Pat Sheehan used to be a member of the IRA. He spent over 18 years in prison for committing terror attacks and was released as part of the peace process. Today he is sure that a united Ireland can be achieved entirely peacefully.
What I think Brexit has done is accelerate the discussion and debate around a united Ireland, because we have seen that the dynamo and the driving force behind Brexit was English nationalism, that it's England that wanted Brexit, Scotland didn't want it, it wasn't wanted here. We voted against it here and the Scottish also voted against it, but we're being taken out against our will.
Pat Sheehan is a long-standing member of Northern Ireland's Assembly, but some of his counterparts who feel aligned to Britain have been blocking the regional government over Brexit, leaving a dangerous political void.
There is a concern if there isn't access to exclusively democratic and peaceful means of expressing your political views, that there is a certain logic in some people's minds to the use of violence to express political viewpoints.
Local politicians are trying to counterbalance this. Everyone's invited to the annual St. Patrick's Day parade in honour of Ireland's patron saint, regardless of whether they feel British or Irish. And the UK government, together with the EU, has just agreed to reduce trade checks to an absolute minimum. And yet, grievances over Brexit remain. People in Northern Ireland don't want to go back to the old days, to the so-called Troubles. They want to move forward in peace. But Brexit has created new borders and new divisions. And it's made clear peace in Northern Ireland cannot be taken for granted.